Okay, so multiplying binomials and special cases. We talked about a binomial having two terms, and so we have two binomials. Notice from before, from 8.1, before we were adding or subtracting these. Now we are multiplying. This is just a fancy way of doing the distributive property. So I'm going to cover up my 2, and I'm going to do my distributive property and have x times 3x gives me 3x squared. X times a negative 4 gives me negative 4x. And now I'm going to do my other term of a positive 2. So 2 times 3x gives me 6x. I already have an x, so I am going to just line it up. And then 2 times a negative 4 gives me a negative 8. So I have 3x squared gives me a positive 2x and a minus 8. What you may not have been taught, but you did it. So if you had 24 times 15, you actually used the distributive property. 5 times 4 gives you 20. That gives you 10. Plus 2 gives you 120. Add a 0. There's a 4 and there's a 2, and then you added them. It's exactly what we just did here. We distributed to every term, distributed to every term, and then we turned around and added them. Make sure that they are in descending order. Let's go a little bit bigger numbers. Okay, so a little bit bigger. Again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to cover up my negative 4x. 3x squared times 2x gives me 6x to the third. Take that term times a negative 1 gives me a negative 3x squared. With my negative 4x times 2x, I get negative 8x squared. Again, I already have an x squared term, so I'm going to go ahead and line them up. And then negative 4x minus 1, or times a negative 1 gives me a positive 4x. And I'm going to add them up. 6x to the third minus 11x squared plus 4x. Remember, we are adding, so we have to have like terms, so we do not add the exponents and get a 4 here. We have like terms, so therefore we just have to keep it. This is also called FOIL. I'm just going to go ahead and write the same problem down. FOIL is just a really quick way of remembering it. Firsts, outers, inners, and lasts. So first will be multiplying your first times your first. Outers are your outside, which is what we did. Inners are your inner terms, and then your lasts are your two last ones. So this is just a fancy way of remembering how to do FOIL. We have some special cases. So if we have 3x plus 6 and times that by 3x minus 6. What you want to look at is that these are the same terms, and those are the same terms. So something very unique is going to happen when we have this type of a situation. So if we do FOIL, we end up with 9x squared minus 18x. Do our inners, end up with a positive 18x and then a negative 36. So if I add these together, I have 9x squared, negative 18x plus 18x. They cancel each other out, minus 36. So when you have this situation where they have the same terms, but one's a positive, one's a negative, or adding and subtracting, however you want to look at it, our outers and our inners cancel each other out. Okay, so if we have another special case would be if it's written as a binomial squared. Lots of errors happen here. Just remember what this means. It means you have two of these. So 5x minus 3 and another 5x minus 3. A very common error here is people think that this is the same shortcut as the last one that we just did. Same terms, but these are both the same. So it's not going to do anything special with canceling out the outers and the inners. So 25x squared, whoopsie, and minus 15x. Inners would be another negative 15x, and then last would be a positive 9. Add them up, 25x squared minus 30x plus 9. I'm going to give you a couple activities to try and bring to class. Do about 3 of them. Okay, so when you come to class, have these problems written down, have them attempted, so that we can see where you're at and get started in class.